welcome back to Reading the List, where we review, discuss, and reimagine popular movie lists objectively. We're your hosts, I'm Jerry.
And I'm Brad, and on this episode we'll be exploring number 46 from AFI's 100 Years, 100 Passions, the 100 Greatest Love Stories of All Time.
And number 46 is To Catch a Thief, released in 1955, directed by Alfred Hitchcock, starring Cary Grant and Grace Kelly.
The synopsis for this romantic thriller is as follows. Retired jewel thief John the Cat Roby, played by Cary Grant, is suspected of a string of burglaries by police on the French Riviera. When detectives come to his hillside villa to question him, he slips away to a restaurant owned by his resistance friend Bertani. The restaurant staff, members of their old resistance crew, are angry at him because the return of the cat has them all under suspicion. The police arrive looking for Roby. He is spirited away by Danielle, Foussard's daughter, who fancies him. Roby realizes he can prove his innocence by catching the thief. He enlists the help of reluctant insurance man Hewson, who gives him the names of the owners of the most expensive jewelry on the Riviera. American tourists Jessie Stevens, a nouveau riche widow, and her daughter Frances, played by Grace Kelly, are tops of the list. Roby strikes up a friendship with them. Frances feigns modesty at first, but kisses Roby at the end of the night. The next day, the two go to the beach. Roby runs into Danielle. He keeps up his cover as a rich American tourist, despite Danielle's barbs about his interest in Frances. During a picnic to a villa of someone that Roby believes the thief will hit, Frances tells Roby she knows his true identity. He initially denies it, but concedes that evening when she invites him to her room to watch a fireworks show, where they kiss passionately. The next morning, Jessie discovers her jewels are missing. Frances immediately blames Roby and calls the police, but he disappears by the time they arrive. Later, Roby is attacked by an unknown assailant. A second attacker raises a wrench and appears to hit Roby, who falls into the water. When police reach the water, the body turns out to be Foussard, one of Bertani's staff and Danielle's father. The police chief publicly announces Foussard is the thief. Privately, Roby knows that it's impossible due to Foussard's wooden leg. The funeral is interrupted by Danielle's loud accusation that Roby is responsible for her father's death. Outside the graveyard, Frances apologizes to him and professes her love. He asks her to arrange his attendance at a fancy masquerade ball where he believes the thief will strike again. Rather than be in costume, Roby waits on the roof while Hewson dresses up and pretends to be Roby. Roby eventually sees Danielle emerge onto the rooftop. The police throw a spotlight on him, which gives Danielle a chance to escape. He avoids gunfire and corners her. She loses her footing and Roby catches her hand. He forces her to loudly confess before pulling her up that Bertani was the ringleader. Roby speeds back to his villa. Frances follows to convince him she has a place in his life, which he eventually concedes is true.
So apparently we can't get through a Hitchcock film without some woman being hit. I mean, it was really quick this time, and it wasn't the main character. It was Cary Grant again. I guess he just, I guess Hitchcock just wants to see him
no
slapping
Hitchcock
bitches.
Just had a problem with women. He's a misogynist. So here's another one. It's like, okay, yeah, this is it. Is this a good movie? This is a good movie. It's a fun movie. It has romantic elements in it, but this is not a love story. The love story that's in this is not the main crux of what's going on in this movie. It's a
thriller. It's an espionage thriller.
Yeah, it's
robbery.
It's a heist movie.
Yeah.
Basically, this is a guy who is trying to clear his name, which he's gone to great lengths to repair his image because, he legitimately used to be a thief and made a lot of money doing it, but he hasn't done it in a very long time, and now this new string of burglaries is happening, and he's immediately kind of blamed. And it sounds like...
Which makes sense.
It kind of makes sense, but it seems like any time that, anything happens in this area, he's the first one that they blame. He's kind of sick of it, and...
He takes matters into his own hands and tries to solve the issue, figure out who did it.
And in the midst of this, there's, a romance between, Roby and Francis, which
I think my favorite part of this movie is when they're at the little dock in the water. And the two women, Danielle
Are getting catty with each other.
and are just flipping insults at each other. It's great.
Yeah.
It's hilarious. And I think that's probably my favorite part of the movie. But yeah, it's a good film. Other than that, like, it's really like interesting. I did fall asleep, but I was very tired.
Well, you have seen it before too.
And I have seen it before.
Even though she's like, we need to rewatch it.
Yeah, because I thought it was a different movie. I thought it was Dial M for Murder for some reason.
She graded the wrong movie.
Yeah, I did. So we had to regrade it. So I had to rewatch it. Anyway, it's good. It's a good movie.
It just doesn't belong. It's another one that just doesn't belong on this list. Frankly, there's no Alfred Hitchcock movie that should show up on this list.
No, none at all. And yeah, I mean, why would you put Hitchcock movies in with love stories? I don't understand. Like, misogyny aside, like, that's not typically what his stories are about.
Yeah, like any kind of relationship that happens in these movies is always kind of plot driven to some extent. Like whether that be a romantic relationship like you have here, or like
Notorious,
or like that one's the closest thing you have to a love story, but even then it's not really great. But like you'll have movies like Strangers on a Train where there's a relationship right there, and if you watch the British version, it's kind of implied that it might actually be romantic too, but the American version doesn't quite have that subtext. But that relationship is plot driven as well.
Yeah.
These two guys come together and, they're trying to make the perfect crime. If one kills the other one's, wife or whatever, they'll never be suspected because they have no ties to them. So, those kinds of things, like every relationship in his movies is plot driven. This is another one that's kind of plot driven. He has a relationship with Frances because she's on this list of potential people that the thief might attack, and since she's top on the list, he makes it a point to.
And she happens to be beautiful.
Yeah, and she happens to be Grace Kelly, who's like one of the most beautiful women who's ever lived. So real stretch for real stretch for him to fall for him, and her for Cary Grant, this good looking movie star. It was super stretch on both of their parts, but. The whole reason that they're even in each other's sphere is plot driven, and everything every time he needs something from her, it's plot driven.
Well, he even at the end, she's like, oh, I knew you had, a space for me in your life, and he's like, yeah, and then she's like, my mom would love this villa, and
he's like, oh God,
yeah, so it's like. I don't think he was expecting like this big thing. I don't know. It just seemed a little forced.
It's not that. It's just like, are they, it's one of those situations too where she's clearly more engaged in the relationship than he is. I mean, it's real clear.
Yeah.
And up until, up until that last scene. So it's like, is that really a great love story? Because it almost doesn't feel like they might ultimately end up together.
And I feel like Hitchcock used her character as like comic relief. A little bit. Like just basically she was being funny. Like the whole like driving up to his place and she's like driving like a maniac and he's getting all freaked out.
Well, she's doing that partly because she knows the cops are following him. Yeah. Like she's already she's figured it out and she's trying to help him and kind of letting him know, hey, I'm on your team.
Right. But yeah,
again, this is a good movie. This is one of several good movies that don't belong on this list.
And I think we have more Hitchcock to come, don't we?
There's at least Vertigo to come. Yeah, it shouldn't be on the list, but we'll get to it.
Anywho, okay, so
I gave this one a 50. Jerry gave it a 51. So the list score is 50.5.
Will we have like veto power to like just not put something on the list?
No.
No.
We're rating the list.
Okay.
It's objective methodology. A 50 is not going to make the list.
Okay. That's good.
It's not.
All right.
I think based on what I've been seeing, my guess is anything that's got like a list score of 65 or less probably doesn't make it the list.
Okay.
I think everything that's going to end up on our ultimate 100 list, which includes, all the stuff that's come out the last 20 years, I think the 90 to 100, you're going to have scores that are in and around 65. I don't think it's going to be much lower than that.
Yeah, makes sense. All right, so if you have comments, if you agree with us that you don't think this should be on a list, if you're pissed off at Hitchcock, please leave a comment below, and please like and subscribe to our channel. If you'd like to talk to us directly, please email us at ratingthelist@gmail.com. For now, I'm Jerry.
And I'm Brad.
And we're rating the list. We'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.